It is Monday, September 10th, 2018. It is 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and so you know what time it is. It's time for a little bit of coin metal. And it was an interesting day. We did do jiu-jitsu today. It wasn't really the normal class. Call me a stickler, okay? But you know, when my instructor doesn't come to class like fully prepared, it throws me off a little bit. Not to say it was a poor class or that it was poorly taught. Simply, I like that kind of structure. You know, I don't. When I'm listening to the instructor, I like to hear assuring things like, you know, oh, today we're going to do, I was thinking about it the other day, but, I noticed that a lot of guys were kind of dogging out on this, and we're going to go ahead and cover this, so it gives you some idea that the instructor has been evaluating everybody's performance and has been thinking based on what he is seeing, he or she, as the case may be, exactly where the class is going, exactly where the class is. And I feel that's really important. And I mean, so, I know that the instructor roster at my gym is kind of weird. We have good people teaching classes. I don't know. I get the impression there's like a lack of finalized policy or something like that, that every once in a while something gets fucked up and somebody can't make something, and the backup systems for that aren't in place, or they aren't as strictly defined as you would like them to be, that kind of stuff. And again, I think if you are going to be instructing a group of people, and again, there's going to be different people in each class and all that, and you can't really account for that. But I don't think you really have to as an instructor. I think what you really have to account for is the general tenor and the general direction that everybody's going in. I'm sure it's ascertainable. You sit and you watch the students as you're going around the room and seeing exactly what their competency is, or even if it's just for a few seconds every class. Just the same, I feel like you should be able to get some general evaluation. You're probably not going to see everything that somebody's capable of doing, but you get enough of an idea to see exactly where their interest is, and maybe even catch them in a spot where they're having a lot of trouble with. Maybe even something that they're not aware of, that they keep making an improper decision at one certain point, and that ends them up with a leg on their shoulder and a triangle around their neck. So, that tends to be my problem, by the way. Fortunately, I've been working a lot of ways to resolve the issue after it's kind of clear that somebody is encroaching on trying to close up a triangle on me. And not all of them are really pleasant for the person trying to put me in a triangle. But, I don't think they should be. So, anywho, let's go ahead and get into some music. Like I said, we didn't have a really tight program, so I'm kind of like half here, half there as far as what exactly to cover. We did do some interesting drills, and I did really enjoy the drill section of it. Altogether, I got to say, I did really enjoy the class setup. I just wish he would have had in mind, we're going to cover this technique today, and we're going to be covering, we're going to be dedicating X amount of time to that, that kind of idea. But even if you do, you're a jiu-jitsu instructor, and you do come to class without a instruction in mind, please don't let the class know that. It's bad enough that you didn't do your homework, but you don't need to tell them. Play it off. Get them in their warm-up, start thinking of something fast, but I don't want to hear from you, oh, I don't know what we're going to do today. Let's do some Yeah, that's not what I want to hear from you, man. You're the instructor for the class. I want to hear, we're going to do arm bars today. From every conceivable position, we are going to do arm bars. We're going to do loop chokes. Every single fucking loop choke in the book, we're going to do loop chokes today. I don't care if you got to lie to me initially, but fake it till you make it, man. Get the ball rolling. Don't sap the energy of the class with your I don't know what we're going to do today, please. I don't know if I'm the only one that feels that, but as soon as I hear that out of the instructor's mouth, or something to that effect out of the instructor's mouth, my enthusiasm level just dropped a notch or two, depending on how completely befuddled they seemed about where they wanted to take the class. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw down into some music. It's what we're here for. It's what we're going to do. And as far as where to start it off, man, today it's just been cray out there, man. Fucking SEC drops or tells us not to invest in one thing, and they qualify something else to be invested in. It's all over the fucking place. So, body count, institutionalized 2014. There you go. First dance here on Coin Metal. And that was Century of the Narcissist, with a question mark at the end, by Sixth. I am really, really hoping that someday soon they come out with a new one. I heard some. I haven't really been following the band as closely as I should, given how much I really do enjoy their music. I mean, they're one of those bands that I found them on Pandora, of all places, and they just I loved them. There was just something about their music that was very, very, very different than a lot of other bands, and I really liked this style, and so yeah, it was one of those bands I had to go out and buy every single album of theirs that I possibly could, to the point where I was ending up buying EPs, and I got some stuff with like three albums with like the same songs on them and shit like that. So, just a little bit too deep, a little bit, but Anyway, it looks like, from what I can tell here, they're currently in Japan, and let's see here, on oh my gosh, on Friday, 8th December 2017? Oh, so that's already done. Dude, they must not be tending this fucking thing at all. Let me look at their tweets and replies. I'm looking on their Twitter page right now, and it doesn't look like they're tending it at all. They must be in Japan or something. Oh, okay. Yeah, it looks like they're in Japan right now. So, at least they're touring. And that's good. That means they're still together and they're doing the thing. But yeah, they really, really unique band, and one of these days I want to try and catch them live. Anyway, as for crypto stuff, man, I feel so disappointed in myself. I made like the dumbest error I've made in a very long time. I was more than lightly invested in Doge, and I've been watching it do this mean fucking climb that everybody in crypto, I'm sure, sees. And I mean, if you look at that book, man, there's a lot of fucking money in that book. I mean, there was more money in that book, and that was one of the reasons why I kind of backed off, was that it seemed like the interest was waning a little bit, and there wasn't quite as much volume in the sell category, and it looked like we were coming up to the end of the run, at least to me, according to my perspective. And like I said, I am like the worst trader in all of the universe when it comes to cryptocurrencies. And if you look at that chart, and you see that flat spot around 90, that's where I bailed out. And then it kept going for like another 20%. So, hey, for those of you guys who ran that out and are still riding the Doge, go for it, man. I don't know how much more legs there is to that run. If you can squeeze a Satoshi or two more out, please have at it. I am done. I got in. I made a decent profit. I got out, moved the money somewhere else. Feel like a fucking idiot for having dogged out as early as I did. But it's one of those things where if you don't keep your irons in the fire, you do not get rewarded. And that's all there is to that game. Anyway, with regard to crypto stuff, I got a notification. What's this thing? What does it say? Come on. Tell me. Alright, somebody liked Century of the Narcissist. It is a very good song. Anywho, with regard to stuff in crypto today, I saw something. It's kind of an odd symmetry of events. And let's get into that. Where the hell did I got so many tabs open right now, it's not even funny. Okay, so there's that one, and then there's... No. I've got like two different articles for the same story in my Twitter feed. It's kind of funny. Okay, yes, this is where I wanted to start this, because I really don't feel like it is the part of any federal entity regulating anything in crypto, but that's just my perspective. I'm sure somebody there thinks that they do have some right and reason to do so, and so they're going to try, despite the fact that they'll just probably end up making a bunch of kids into criminals, and that'll be that. Anywho, this one caught my eye because it's something we've kind of been following on this show. And this one's on Bloomberg.com. Markets. Bitcoin Tracker 1 and Ether Tracker 1 suspended by U.S. SEC. This by Jesse Westbrook, September 9th, 2018. Let's check and verify something. Jesse, come on. Tell me about yourself. And no indication either way, so we're just going to assume. We're gonna jump out on a limb here and say yes, penis. So yes, again, this is September 9th, 2018, 4:07 p.m. PDT. Thank you very much, Jesse, for being particularly fastidious. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission temporarily suspended trading in two securities linked to cryptocurrencies on Sunday, citing investor confusion regarding the assets. The halted securities are Bitcoin Tracker 1 and Ether Tracker 1, the regulator said in a statement which we are going to right-click on now. The suspension started on Sunday and will last through September 20th, according to the statement. Brokers who allow customers to trade Bitcoin Tracker 1 and Ether Tracker 1 or offer quotes on the securities during the halt could be subject to enforcement actions, the SEC said. I don't care. But let's look at the report, because I'm interested in it. Oh my goodness, and it's only one page. Thank you, SEC, for keeping it short. United States of America, before the Securities and Exchange Commission, Securities and Exchange Act of 1934, release number 84063, September 9th, 2018. Securities and Exchange Commission, quote-unquote commission, announced the temporary suspension pursuant to Section 12K of the Securities Exchange Act of 1934, quote, the quote Exchange Act of trading in the securities of Bitcoin Tracker 1, CXBFT, and Ether Tracker 1, THF, my apologies, commencing at 5:30 p.m. EDT on September 9th, 2018, and terminating at 11:59 p.m. EDT on September 20th, 2018. The Commission temporarily suspended trading in the securities CXBTF and CETF because of the confusion amongst market participants regarding these instruments. The order was entered pursuant to Section 12K of the Securities Exchange Act of 1934. The Commission cautions broker-dealers, shareholders, and prospective purchasers that they should carefully consider the foregoing information along with other currently available information and any information subsequently issued by the company. Further, brokers and dealers should be alert to the fact that pursuant Rule 15C2-11 under the Exchange Act, at the termination of the trading suspension, no quotation may be entered unless and until they have strictly complied with all of the provisions of the rule. If any broker or dealer has any questions as to whether or not he has complied with the rule, he should not enter any quotation but immediately contact the staff in the Division of Trading and Markets, Office of Interpretation and Guidance at 202-551-5777. If any broker or dealer is uncertain as to what is required by Rule 15C2-11, he should refrain from entering quotations relating to CXBTF or CETHF securities until such time as he has familiarized himself with the rule and is certain that all of its provisions have been met. If any broker or dealer enters any quotation which is in violation of the rule, the Commission will consider the need for prompt enforcement action. If any broker, dealer, or other person has any information which may relate to this matter, they should immediately contact Reed Muyo. My apologies, that's weird. There's literally only one consonant in this man's last name. At blah blah blah, or 202-551-4848. There you have it. So, the question I have is exactly what exchanges have they terminated the access to these securities on, and are there other exchanges in which these securities can be participated in that are outside of their jurisdiction, which I'm sure there are. In that case, you really got to think to yourself, there's not a whole lot of likelihood that people are going to comply with it. It's funny, I got another article, I'm not entirely sure, I think so. Yeah, I do. As harsh as the Chinese supposedly are with regard to their ability to regulate on their people and all that, it seems there is still quite a bit of crypto activity going on in China. And the reason I make note of this is because China is a much more, or at least has a reputation for being, a far more totalitarian and invasive government than the United States is, at least with regard to within its borders and its surveillance of its people. And yet, despite this fact, got this article here on newsbtc.com. Chinese traders are still investing in Bitcoin by exploiting crypto ban. This is by Cole Peterson, authored September 9th, 2018 at 10 a.m. No indication of time zone, but yes, until I meet a woman named Cole, I'm going to assume penis. Oh my god. Okay. Chinese traders are still investing in Bitcoin by exploiting crypto ban. Although the Chinese government has hailed their crypto ban as successful, it appears that traders have found multiple ways to circumvent the ban despite tightening scrutiny on crypto by state regulators. Exchanges are also finding ways to avoid being shut down by the government, enabling trading for Chinese citizens. Chinese state-run newspaper, the Shanghai Securities Times, reported in late August that the authorities are moving swiftly to block access to exchanges that are operating illegally and blocked access to an additional 124 offshore exchanges providing services to Chinese citizens. The offshore exchanges exploited weaknesses in the government's ban by frequently changing their domain names in order to avoid detection. They also moved their servers to countries outside of the Chinese mainland, making it incredibly difficult for authorities to monitor and block the illicit exchanges. Somebody didn't edit this thing where the shit. Chinese government claims that cryptocurrency ban has been successful. In July, the Central Bank of China released a report that claimed that the country's cryptocurrency ban had been incredibly successful, reducing yuan trading activity to under 1%, while the currency once accounted for 90% of the global trading volume. Following the ban, the government moved to shut down as many high-profile exchanges, ICOs, and crypto projects as possible, rapidly reducing trading volume and scaring citizens away from the markets. Although state regulators are frequently shutting down illegal ICOs and blocking access to offshore exchanges, it does not appear that the government will ever be able to fully eradicate access to cryptocurrency exchanges. Terrence Sang, the COO of Tidebit, a centralized crypto exchange based in Hong Kong and Taiwan, said that, quote, "The latest warning and potentially increased monitoring of foreign platforms is targeted at a batch of smaller exchanges that had claimed to be foreign entities, but are in fact operating in China, claiming they have outsourced their operations to a Chinese company. Those exchanges, whose website landing pages are in Chinese, have drawn particular scrutiny by regulators." Oh my God! If you wanted to run an exchange, this is the way to do it. Set it up here in the United States, get in contact with somebody in China, and then tell them that you want to outsource your services, or that you want to outsource your operations to a Chinese company. That way you'll get access within China. Yeah. Following the report that claimed regulators are stepping up their actions against illegally operating exchanging, Chinese trading volume dropped 33%, signaling that traders are likely moving their cryptos to cold storage wallets due to the risk involved with holding their digital currencies on an exchange. In addition to utilizing illegally operating exchanges, Chinese traders are also using peer-to-peer trading to circumvent the ban. Exchanging cryptocurrency between wallets directly without using a middleman like an exchange. These types of transactions are done by converting fiat currency to Tether and sending that as payment in exchange for virtual currencies, with all the online actions being done through a virtual private network. Oh, dude. The government has not yet taken action to block VPNs, although a ban on the use of these tools would make peer-to-peer cryptocurrency transactions more difficult to conduct. Yeah, for everybody, including all the Chinese finance ministers that want to get in on that Bitcoin goodness. Some Chinese companies, including WeChat, Tencent, and Ant Financial, have all taken actions to block cryptocurrency trading on their social platforms in an effort to be more compliant with the government's regulators. Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with that. And there's no comments on this, which I'm kind of surprised with. But, so there you have it. You know, it's like, we've got this we've got the SEC pointing their finger and waving it around and saying, you can't trade in this shit. And then you got China, on the other hand, where they're a far more repressive regime. They're far more intrusive on their people than we supposedly are. And yet, here you have it. Chinese traders are just circumventing that shit. And this is predictable. I think I predicted it on this show a few times that an intent mind will find a way. That nature in and of itself will not accept artificial barriers and will not accept toxic elements that it doesn't have to tolerate. It'll find a way around them. And this is evident throughout our history that is going to happen. So the thing to do, let it burn itself out. The people that were really intent on changing the world with their cryptocurrency or their cryptocurrency project, they will still be around. They will find a way to still be around. If they were relevant, if they were needed, if they were wanted, if they ever were, they will find a way to survive. Of course, if they were scammers and they were just interested in fucking people out of their money, well, they're going to entertain that interest as long as they possibly can, and either A, get out when they're smart, or B, get busted. And B is like 90% of all scammers. They all get in too deep. But you know what you have to keep in mind is the number of people that they're actually writing articles about bringing actions against. Okay, and there's a very, very tiny number of them. When you look at the number of people that are involved in crypto in total, and then you look at the number of people that are getting busted, pulling outright fraud, stealing money from people, misadvertising their services, misquoting their services, over-reporting performance, any of these things, fraudulent activity, these people get busted. But when you look at the number of them versus the millions of people that are involved in cryptocurrencies, it means a tiny minority of people are doing what by any straight mind or any rational mind would deem to be quote-unquote illegal or otherwise harmful activity. And that's becoming obvious even to the people that monitor shit. And as a matter of fact, I've got another article to that exact point. Man, I got so many fucking tabs open in this thing. Where the hell is it? Where is it? Got through that one. Oh wait, is this the first one? No. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Chinese traders still getting around. No, that's not it. That's not it either, but I want to keep that one open just in case. You never know. And what's this one? Crypto's biggest legal problems? No, that's not what I wanted to get into. China is trying to murder Bitcoin? Maybe. That's not really it. Damn it. There was this one article that was like right on the tip of my tongue. Chinese investor, but oh yeah. Yeah, we just covered this article, or at least another one by it, or about it, and this is Chinese investors reportedly bypass the crypto ban using Tether and VPNs. Yeah, that's going to continue on. That's going to happen more and more. But, oh, here it is. This is the big one of the big bugaboos that people flare up about with regard to cryptocurrencies when they're trying to fight about cryptocurrencies. This is one of the things they bring up. So here it is. This is on Coindesk.com. Crypto use is a, quote, fringe activity among terrorists, says think tank. This is by Anna Bedakova. So clearly, no penis authored September 10th, 2018 at 2100 UTC. Thank you, Anna, for being very precise on your time. A new report from a Washington, D.C. think tank presented last week argued that cryptocurrencies are not well suited for terrorist financing, while also highlighting the limited success terrorist groups have had attempting to raise funds with the technology. The paper was produced by the Foundation for Defense of Democracy Center on Sanctions and Illicit Finance and was presented during a hearing before the U.S. House of Representatives Services Committee hearing on terrorist financing. The report by Yahya Fenuzzi, director of the center, has been published by the committee's website, and we might just go with that too. Noting that, quote, cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology are not innately illicit and should not be feared. The report provides an overview of several cases in which groups used cryptocurrencies to raise funds. These include pro-Islamic State websites, a group based in Gaza, a group allegedly connected with Al-Qaeda, and a contractor training ISIS fighters. It also cites the case of Ali Shukri Amin, who pleaded guilty in 2015 after he penned a long post explaining how ISIS could raise money using Bitcoin. Still, the technology isn't well suited for those who are raising funds in war-torn areas, writing at one point that, quote, operating financially with digital currencies remains a fringe activity both among the general public and within the population of global jihadis. Quote, the good news is that most terrorists, particularly those operating on jihadist battlefields, inhabit environments that are not currently conducive to cryptocurrency use, the FDD notes elsewhere in the report that said, according to the report, barriers including the public nature of crypto transactions, quote, may fall away over time. No, not really. Specific cases cited. The FDD also cites reports from 2017 of a fundraising campaign led by a consortium of jihadists in the Gaza Strip called the Mujahideen Shura Council, MSC, which was deemed a foreign terrorist organization by the State Department, which doesn't actually make them a terrorist group, but whatever. The fundraising campaign named Jahizona Arabic for Equip Us aimed to raise $2,500 per fighter, but ultimately raised a little over $500 in Bitcoin, based on information gleaned from public blockchain data. Notably, the FDD contended that the deposits were made via the now-defunct cryptocurrency exchange BTC-E. Another group that tried to attract Bitcoin donations called itself Al-Sadaqa, Arabic for the charitable giving, that claimed to be raising funds for fighters in Syria. According to the report, the group was connected to Al-Qaeda and promoted its propagandist content. As a result, Al-Sadaqa was able to gather about $685 worth of Bitcoin, the researchers found. The account of another organization called Malhama Tactical, and founded by an Uzbek who served in the Russian military before leaving to join rebels in Syria in 2013, had gathered less than $100 worth of Bitcoin as the researchers monitored it. Another element would serve to curtail the success of such campaigns. The ability of U.S. regulators to watch those transactions in real time, as they have become, quote, proficient in analyzing cryptocurrency transactions, the report suggests. While cryptocurrencies are not expected to displace conventional means of terror financing anytime soon, terrorists will likely use them if they grow more accepted for real-world goods and services, the FFD report notes, adding, quote, therefore, all agencies with counter-threat financing groups should have dedicated analysts who specialize in blockchain analysis. Yeah. So there you have it. Very, 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 very few terrorists actually use cryptocurrencies. Gosh, I fucking wonder why. On this thing's 11 pages, we can definitely do that. This is a survey of terrorist groups and their means of financing. I'm not entirely certain we really want to go into this. How in depth. Yeah, it's about Bitcoin, so we might just do it. But yeah, so, we've been tumbling down a few different rabbit holes here, but this is definitely where we're going to pick up on the other side of the music break. It always seemed odd to me that anybody would even bother talking about terrorism with regard to cryptocurrencies and the financing thereof. Mostly because cryptocurrencies, as I use and envision them and categorize them, are public. There are places where you can obfuscate the sender and the receiver. But for the most part, these are public things. These are public transactions and public currencies and public fucking blockchains. So, the idea of concealment of a large amount of funding in Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies is kind of stupid. I mean, I imagine that somebody's probably gotten away with it at least a little bit that these people aren't aware of. But it's only because the people that were doing it were probably a little bit more aware of exactly what they were doing, when they were doing it. As opposed to, a government entity, they've got certain perspective range that they're viewing things in. And I'm sure there's some sort of dark spot or shadow here or there that they're missing. But, they're human. And even with AI and whatnot, the tools are only as good as your mind to examine is. If you're not completely aware of the terrain, you're not going to be very successful in detecting activities that you're trying to find out about. But as far as like actual, like, people buying guns, people buying bombs, people moving guns, people moving bombs, people training people. That costs a lot of fucking money. And I don't care how you go about doing it. If you're trying to move a significant sum of money, it's probably going to be noted somewhere. I mean, I read articles in my Twitter all the time about, money moving from the Mt. Gox wallets, or money moving from the Silk Road wallets, or, something to that effect. So it's not like the public isn't watching these blockchains, and it's not like they aren't analyzing it and reporting it openly. It's not like any of this shit is hidden. And I guess that's the biggest problem that I have with all of this, is the assumption of guilt, just because we're looking at it in terms of, I really don't want you to know who I am. The assumption that I'm guilty just because I don't want you to know who I am and don't want you to know what I'm buying or selling, fuck you. That's bullshit. You're just being overly paranoid. It's not like, I'm going to do transactions with Bitcoin or a cryptocurrency and you're not going to know about it. You'll know all about it. You'll see the transaction itself happening on the blockchain. Now, if you're as good in analysis and whatnot as you'd like to give people the impression you are, triangulating the location of the use, the transaction, or associating it with a certain purchase shouldn't be all that difficult. Although, I'm sure there are ways of obfuscating that as well. Just the same, I would say that there is no way to definitively to move a substantial sum of money without somebody knowing about it, unless you're doing it maybe physical notes or maybe a trade of a physical wallet. And that's something that not a lot of people talk about, and I don't really understand why. Only that it's something that if you're unaware of it, you'll assume that there's only means that are completely digital and online to use cryptocurrencies, and that's just not true. You know, you can make a paper wallet, hand it to somebody else, the fucking financial transaction has happened. And nobody's the wiser on that one because it hasn't even happened on the blockchain. And it won't happen until they scan that wallet and sweep the funds into a live wallet. Or an exchange wallet or whatever fucking receptacle that they want to throw it to. But the point being is there's no digital footprint of that transaction. And in that way it's similar to cash. And there are other ways to store a paper wallet too. None of which I'm going to really go into. If you're curious though, just Google paper wallet for whatever currency that you like. And you can probably find one out there. There's probably one, a wallet generator for you for that currency. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back into some music. And I got Metallica Battery playing in the background. It's a perfect fucking song. Let's throw it down here on Coin Metal. And that was Prong with The Banishment. You know, I gotta wonder exactly what Tommy is doing with regard to the Prong project. From what I understand, he's currently touring, kind of touring, touring, side touring with alongside what do you call them? The Misfits. No, not the Misfits. Danzig. That's it, Danzig. Apparently, Danzig's during some European tours or European dates, and so Prong has been doing some European dates as Tommy is doing guitar work for Glenn. Now, I did notice a minor modification in the lineup, and I don't know if this is just for the tour or what's going on there, but seems Art Cruz has kind of stepped back. I think he might not just be, I think it might just be that he's not on the European leg of the tour or something. But Aaron Rossi is back in the stick seat, the man behind the skins for Prong during these shows. So I mean, I've seen it both ways, man. I've seen it with Art, and I've seen Prong play with Art as the drummer, and I've seen Prong with Aaron. And I got to tell you, man, either way, you're gonna get your fucking socks knocked off if you have the opportunity to see it. So don't feel bad. Let's see. I have peanut on the black text one. Oh, Jesus Christ, that's terrible. Sorry, I just read something that somebody had wrote on a message to me, and it's just terrible news. Anyway, continuing on. Got this bad boy here. It's 11 pages, survey of terrorist groups and their means of financing. Now, I know, that some of you were probably anticipating at one point or another during the show that I would be talking about the Winklevi and the other thing, their quote-unquote stable coins. I've already made my voice very, very clear with regard to the concept of stable coins. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to go there. I think enough media sources have gone there for the day that this probably merits a little bit of coverage, because I haven't seen any other mention of this. Except for a couple articles. They did mention the report, but they did not go deeply into it. Anyway, here we go. Congressional Testimony Foundation for Defense of Democracies. This isn't a fucking democracy, asshole. Sorry. House Financial Services Committee, Subcommittee on Terrorism and Illicit Finance. And just for those of you who are jumping up and down right now for my having said that this is not in fact a democracy, the United States is not a democracy. It never has been, never will be. We have several democratic processes, but we operate under a representative republic. And if you're unfamiliar with the term, you had to Google. Right now we're going to get back to this thing. Survey of terrorist groups and their means of financing. And this is by Yahya Fanusi. My apologies, ma'am. I have trouble with that name for some reason. Fanusi. Yeah. Director of Analysis, FDD's Center on Sanctions and Illicit Finance, Washington, D.C., September 7th, 2018. Center on Sanctions and Illicit Finance, defenddemocracy.org. Yahya J. Fanusi, September 7th, 2018. Chairman Pence, Vice Chairman Pittenger, and Ranking Member Perlmutter, on behalf of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies and its Center on Sanctions and Illicit Finance, thank you for the opportunity to testify today about a crucial technology that provides virtually unlimited opportunities, but also certain threats. Cryptocurrencies may become the way we transact in the future, but they are also becoming part of the illicit financing toolkit available to terrorists. FDD's Center on Sanctions and Illicit Finance, CSIF, has now documented cryptocurrency fundraising campaigns run by social media entities associated with Islamic State and Al-Qaeda. Although public evidence indicates that terrorist groups have only had limited success so far with cryptocurrency fundraising efforts, the rising profile of digital currency has been accompanied by jihadist networks experimenting with them more frequently. I'd like to take a moment to point out that I was just reminded of this, that what's his face, Amir Taki was in some sort of like autonomous zone in Syria, I guess, and he was like helping them with cryptocurrencies. But from what I understand, those are like the good bad guys. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the local shit going on there. Anyway, continuing on. By preparing now for terrorists' increasing usage of cryptocurrencies, the U.S. can limit the ability to turn digital currency markets into a sanctuary for illicit finance. Dude. I will conclude my testimony today with specific recommendations for how the federal government, and private sector can address this challenge. Oh my God. Terrorists diversifying their portfolios. Terrorist groups regularly adapt their methods to their available resources, skill levels, and opportunities presented in their target areas of operations. This is true for financing as it is. This is as true for financing as it is for plotting attacks. Terrorist organizations have a long history of exploiting banks and other traditional financial institutions, as well as some semi-formal means of transferring funds, such as the Hawala exchange system. But emerging financial technologies offer new channels to raise and move funds. Law enforcement officials and regulators have flagged cryptocurrencies for enabling illicit activity because of their pseudonymity and suitability for cybercrime and darknet marketplace transactions. The good news is that most terrorists, particularly those operating on jihadist battlefields, inhabit environments that are not currently conducive to cryptocurrency use. They usually need to purchase goods with cash, which is the most anonymous funding method, often in areas with unreliable technology infrastructure. In addition, cryptocurrencies are based on distributed ledger blockchain technology, where users' pseudonymous transactions are recorded for public viewing. This leaves a trail that unsophisticated users may find difficult to obfuscate. However, as digital currency usage grows, such barriers may fall away. For the moment, terrorist groups may lack the necessary skills to employ digital currencies more frequently and effectively. User friendliness is a challenge for this technology, whereas everyone knows how to use cash. Managing large amounts of cryptocurrency requires being extremely savvy in cybersecurity. No, it doesn't. It just requires legitimate accounts or, just a legitimate means, meaning a means that will transact the value one way and the other. And you can do it. That's a really short jump, really. For instance, to manage a cryptocurrency wallet, users must keep secure their digital private keys, which differ from regular passwords because they can never be replaced if forgotten. If hackers acquire your private key and steal your digital currency, there is little one can do to retrieve the funds. Cryptocurrency prices are also volatile, and the broader public buys tokens more for speculation than purchasing real-world goods and services. Thus, operating financially with digital currencies remains a fringe activity both among the general public and within the population of global jihadists. However, the minimal traction that cryptocurrencies have among jihadists should not be viewed as a steady-state condition. In recent years, I have observed multiple instances of jihadist groups trying to raise funds through cryptocurrencies. Although these networks have not raised much digital cash, I have watched them adapt and grow more sophisticated in their attempts to leverage cryptocurrency to alternatives such as Monero that provide greater anonymity. There are only a few publicly verifiable cases of terrorists pursuing cryptocurrency financing, but these instances show that elements within jihadist networks are keenly aware of the technology's potential for secretive peer-to-peer and cross-border payments. It's really funny about that acknowledgement right there about peer-to-peer and cross-border payments right there, because that's like an acknowledgement of something that we keep hearing all these people trying to resell to us. Oh, remittances, Bitcoin-based remittances. Give me a fucking break, man. If I can do cross-border payments with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies with my wallet, why the fuck do I need somebody to do it as an arbiter? I don't get it. Anyway, continuing on. In 2014, Virginian teenager Ali Shukri Amin published a blog article explaining how supporters of the Islamic State could help fund the group by sending bitcoins through anonymous software wallets. Amin was clearly an early technology adopter. He was an honor student who posted online advice about cybersecurity and encryption and was accepted into a top college engineering program before his arrest. He had thousands of Twitter followers, including jihadists in Iraq and Syria. It is unclear how much of Amin's Bitcoin tutorial directly impacted donations to the Islamic State, but it is one of the earliest signs of jihadists exploring how to exploit cryptocurrency's pseudonymity. Jahizona, the first terror funding campaign publicly visible on the blockchain. In 2016, media reports surfaced that a consortium of jihadists in the Gaza Strip called the Mujahideen Shura Council, MSC, in the environs of Jerusalem began soliciting bitcoins for its weapons fundraising campaign known as Jahizona, Arabic for Equip Us. The U.S. State Department designated the MSC as a foreign terrorist organization in 2014. In 2016, the U.S. Treasury Department designated one of MSC's leaders for facilitating funding on behalf of the Islamic State. The MSC's media outlet posted infographics for the Jehazona campaign on Twitter and Telegram, listing the prices for rockets, rifles, grenades, and other gear for militants. One effort sought to raise $2,500 per fighter. Some of the Twitter infographics gave an option to pay in Bitcoin, providing a QR code link to the campaign's Bitcoin address. Because the QR code was visible on the Twitter posts, we were able to pull up the address and monitor its transactions on the Bitcoin blockchain. We discovered that after a few weeks of soliciting on social media, the address received only 2 deposits, totaling a little over $500 in Bitcoin. The Jehazona cryptocurrency crowdfunding campaign fell far short of its aim of raising $2,500 per fighter. Still, the Jehazona case is significant because it was the first time a Bitcoin funding campaign was definitively associated with a terrorist group, with a Bitcoin address publicly verified and observable during the campaign. By analyzing the Jehazona transactions on the Bitcoin blockchain, CSIF was able to identify the cryptocurrency exchange where the deposits originated, a European exchange website named BTC-E, known for facilitating money laundering. A joint U.S. law enforcement operation shut down BTC-E for a year later for multiple illicit financing crimes. Typically, media attention of terrorist funding campaigns would cause banks to close the associated accounts and scare off donors, but unlike money service businesses and bank accounts, cryptocurrency addresses operate by open source software and cannot be shut down by a third party. Yet. They're trying to put keys on your fucking wallet. Cryptocurrency wallets are managed by whoever controls the private key passcode. Even if law enforcement is aware of an illicit address, authorities cannot freeze the account and cannot move funds without the private key. Although the Mujahideen Shura Council has not recently published the Jehazona address on social media channels, it continues to receive deposits every month or so, usually in the low hundreds of dollars. It is unclear if the group still controls this address, but as of early September 2018, it contained over $1,000 in Bitcoin. It's probably a lot less now. Jihadist network crowdfunding cryptocurrencies in Syria. The price of Bitcoin began to skyrocket in late 2017, with the price of one Bitcoin hitting $10,000 for the first time last November. Rising prices generated media attention, which in turn fed higher prices and greater hype. This appeared to have the attention of jihadist networks. Late last year, CSIF was notified by cryptocurrency analytics firm Elliptic, with whom we were collaborating on a research project on Bitcoin laundering, that some jihadist social media channels recently posted requests for Bitcoin funding. Our team looked into these postings and initially saw little activity in the addresses, especially after the social media platforms deleted their posts and accounts. However, one campaign associated with Al-Qaeda stood out because of its frequent posting of slick photographics and videos on Telegram. Calling itself Al-Sadaqah, Arabic for the charitable giving, the group claimed to be raising funds for fighters in Syria. It transmitted its messages in English, even posted quotes from now deceased American Al-Qaeda propagandist Anwar al-Awlaki. There you go. CSIF monitored al-Sadaqah's social media channels. Its initial Telegram channel was deleted, but it resurfaced within days under a new username. We also monitored and analyzed the group's Bitcoin address, which it highlighted regularly, asking followers to, quote, donate anonymously with Bitcoin. In its initial campaign, al-Sadaqah sought $750 for camp reinforcements. Within weeks, we noticed the address received about $685 worth of Bitcoin, which it soon sent to another address. The Al-Sadaka group continued requesting funding for a variety of logistical supplies, sometimes publishing videos claiming to show fighters' encampments in the mountains, but it only received a handful of Bitcoin transactions, none as large as the $685 early in its campaign. Jihadists adjusting their cryptocurrency crowdsourcing methods. Although the Al-Sadaka case may have been as unsuccessful as the Jehazona campaign a year prior, it demonstrated how jihadists may adjust when their cryptocurrency campaigns are unsuccessful. In monitoring Al-Sadaka's activity, we noticed that as its Bitcoin address lagged in receiving donations, the group introduced new techniques for supporters to give funds. Since Bitcoin blockchain transactions are public, most supporters, especially newcomers to cryptocurrency use, probably were hesitant to donate for fear of being detected by law enforcement or intelligence agencies. It appears that Al-Sadaka tried to address this concern. At one point, the group encouraged followers to purchase Bitcoin vouchers for a gaming website that took payment in euros. Instead of sending Bitcoin directly, supporters could purchase the voucher and share with Al-Sadaka, which would use it to access the Bitcoin funds. The group also posted sites where supporters could locate Bitcoin ATMs to buy cryptocurrencies. Clearly, the campaign organizers were trying to make the Bitcoin buying process easier for novices. Al-Sadaka's most significant adaptation was eventually branching out beyond Bitcoin. By early 2018, the group posted on Telegram that it was also accepting other cryptocurrencies like Monero, Verge, and Dash. These other tokens use varying types of anonymization techniques that make their transactions less traceable than Bitcoin. However, Al-Sadaka kept the Bitcoin address on their infographics. An exception was a rare post of the group's Monero address. However, the Monero blockchain allows no views into its transactions. Even with the address, we could not determine how much it had received. Also, Al-Sadaka did not just stick to cryptocurrency. With donations scarce, it soon announced ways to receive cash and money service transfers. To access those methods, supporters would have to communicate with the Al-Sadaka Telegram administrator via encrypted messaging. Thus, with more anonymous cryptocurrencies and other transmission methods in play, it is difficult to assess Al-Sadaka's true funding level. Another militant group in Syria appears to be following in Al-Sadaka's cryptocurrency footsteps. In mid-2018, CSIF noticed an organization called Malhama Tactical soliciting donations on Twitter. Malhama Tactical is a private military contractor that caters to jihadists in Syria. It was founded in 2016 by an Uzbek who served in the Russian military before leaving to join rebels in Syria in 2013. The group has trained various Al-Qaeda-affiliated fighters, though it initially relied on contracts to train and support militants. The group started asking for donations amidst a financial crunch in 2017. i.e. a lapse of official funding. The group's founder reportedly was killed in 2017, but it is now led by someone calling himself Abu Salman Belarus, whom we discovered is one of Al-Sadaka's social media followers. Abu Salman gives updates about Malhama tactical through his Twitter account, often in Russian. In 2018, Abu Salman tweeted a Bitcoin address for Malhama tactical donations, but it was later deleted. We reviewed the address and found it had received only a few transactions and had less than $100 worth of Bitcoin. We last saw the Twitter account seek Bitcoin donations in early August, but instead of listing the actual address, this time Abu Salman asked supporters to contact him via direct message for details. Jihadist media outlets tapping cryptocurrency technology. It's not just fighters that terrorist networks seek to support with cryptocurrencies. Salafi jihadist media sites are integrating Bitcoin campaigns into their platforms. In late November 2017, the pro-Islamic State Arabic website Akbar al-Muslimin, Arabic for news of the Muslims, published a link for Bitcoin donations. According to an Israeli research institute, Akbar al-Muslimin frequently publishes videos of Islamic State attacks and other jihadist propaganda. The donation link was connected to a page at a mainstream Bitcoin payment processor site. The link was soon removed, probably after the payment processor became aware that one of its customers was a terrorist media outlet. Gosh, self-regulation in cryptocurrencies? Who ever heard of such a thing? However, the Akbar al-Muslimin administrators adjusted by keeping hyperlinks on the site reading, quote, "Donate to site, servers are costly," above many articles. The links led readers to a page generating multiple Bitcoin addresses. Supporters could then copy these addresses and donate to them directly away from the page. This showed some tactical sophistication on the part of the site administrators, who eliminated their dependence on a Bitcoin payment processing site. In addition, generating many different Bitcoin addresses was likely designed to make it harder for outsiders to monitor donations. We identified a few dozen addresses created by the site, but most of them had no donations. In December 2017, a jihadist website monitoring group reported that a separate Islamic State-affiliated website called Izdarat was requesting bitcoins. The Izdarat website can only be viewed on the dark web via a Tor browser. The site also uses multiple Telegram channels to disseminate Islamic State videos and other propaganda. Media sources did not publish the Bitcoin address, so it is unclear how much, if any, Bitcoin Izdarat raised. Detection does not necessarily stop cryptocurrency campaigning. As mentioned above, a challenge with cryptocurrency addresses for counter-terrorist financing is that digital wallets cannot be shut down by an outside party without acquiring private keys. Although Al-Sadaka was exposed by my published research and in major outlets like the Wall Street Journal, it continues to seek funds for its Bitcoin address on social media, showing that the group probably controls its private key. This response differs from the terrorist funding activity discovered in the early years after the September 11th attacks. Previously, when they worked exclusively through the conventional banking system, terrorist supporting charities were detected by law enforcement or exposed in the press, often had their funding channels quickly neutralized. Mixing cryptocurrencies with conventional illicit funding schemes. Cryptocurrencies can be a part of a mix of deceptive financial tools to obscure donors' intentions of terrorist funding. Last year, a Long Island, New York woman tried to send money to the Islamic State by acquiring fraudulent loans and credit cards. She used the credit cards to purchase $62,000 worth of cryptocurrencies that she laundered into fiat money and sent as wire transfers to contacts in Pakistan, China, and Turkey. The fact that she sent funds through a banking infrastructure to her contacts instead of directly via cryptocurrencies shows that jihadist groups, while experimenting with digital currency, remain more comfortable with conventional financial tools. Either that or they just had a really unsophisticated user. Illicit finance investigators should also keep in mind that the cryptocurrency space is replete with scams. Sometimes cybercriminals impersonate terrorists as a ploy to gain funding from extremists. In late August 2017, an independent researcher uncovered a site on the darknet called Sadaka Coins, claiming to be a marketplace for crowdfunding jihadist projects. The site sought donations in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Monero, and claimed that funds would pay for weapons, sniper gear, vehicles, and computer equipment. However, one darknet technical expert reviewing the site assessed that it was most likely a scam and unrelated to real jihadist groups. As scams increase, it will be crucial for investigators to determine if cryptocurrency campaigns are truly linked to known jihadist networks. Recommendations. The above cases make a few things clear. 1. Terrorist organizations are looking to add cryptocurrency donations to their funding streams. 2. Their efforts thus far have not been very fruitful, probably because cryptocurrency's technical complexities, extremist preference for cash, and the traceability of most blockchain protocols deter wider usage. Thus it is to be expected, although cryptocurrencies have grown the past few years as a speculative asset class, their daily use for purchasing goods and services is minimal. Terrorist adoption of cryptocurrencies simply mirrors that of the general public. This also means that if public cryptocurrency adoption increases, terrorist groups will probably begin to transact more in digital tokens. But cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology are not innately illicit and should not be feared. Like most technological innovations, they can be utilized for good or ill, depending on the user. Our adversaries, both state and non-state actors, are building blockchain-based tools to advance their interests. The U.S. must keep up with this technology and address new risks emerging from an evolving financial ecosystem. Both are some actions that policymakers and tech industry should take to mitigate risk. Counter-threat financing units must learn blockchain analysis. All units in U.S. government agencies that investigate terrorist financing should become proficient in analyzing cryptocurrency transactions. Public blockchain transactions can usually be viewed on a, quote, blockchain explorer website. Although cryptocurrency users operate pseudonymously, investigators can view the flows recorded on the blockchain for insight into suspects' behavior and their financial relationships. While cryptocurrencies are not expected to displace conventional means of terror financing anytime soon, terrorists will likely use them if they grow more accepted for real-world goods and services. Therefore, all agencies with counter-threat financing groups should have dedicated analysts who specialize in blockchain analysis. Today, investigators have at their disposal not only free blockchain explorer websites, but also various blockchain forensics firms that they can leverage for analysis. To mitigate any terrorist use of cryptocurrencies, the U.S. and its partners must get smart on the world of the blockchain. Financial authorities should engage more in cryptocurrency exchanges. Not really. Just watch us. Just fucking watch. We're still operating largely above board right now. Just fucking watch. You say it yourself in this fucking report that we've got public blockchain explorers. Give me a fucking break. Anyway, continuing on. U.S. financial regulators and law enforcement must increase their engagement with cryptocurrency exchanges, which are where most people purchase digital currency. But many smaller exchanges trade in greater variety of alternative tokens, including so-called, quote, privacy coins. Many of these newer exchanges also use more experimental software, allowing fully decentralized peer-to-peer trading that lacks customer identification verification. These decentralized exchanges currently have very little volume, and some experts say they may not become widely used in the cryptocurrency space for quite a few years. However, if decentralized exchanges flourish as fully anonymous platforms, they will be more attractive to those seeking to use cryptocurrency for illicit purposes. Thus, the cryptocurrency space appears to be evolving into two ecosystems, one growing more AML compliant and one growing more underground, developing less transparency. At FDD's Center on Sanctions and Illicit Finance, we have been facilitating conversations between government policymakers and blockchain technology leaders on illicit finance risks and national security threats. Many within the industry want to keep terrorists and other bad actors off of their platforms. Financial authorities should work with those firms to protect citizens from terrorism without stifling technological innovation. Cryptocurrency enthusiasts should flag illicit wallets. Cryptocurrency addresses are easily and randomly software generated, making them too numerous for a single investigative team to identify all suspect transactions. Law-abiding cryptocurrency exchanges are incentivized to prevent illegal transactions on their platforms, but do not have the capacity to identify all illicit addresses on every blockchain. And while blockchain forensic teams offer tools for exchanges to flag illicit activity, these tools are usually proprietary, focusing on just a handful of blockchain systems. Moreover, known illicit addresses operating on different blockchains are not shared freely among all exchanges and law enforcement agencies. To address this gap, enthusiasts who care about the integrity of the cryptocurrency industry should flag activity associated with terrorists and other illicit actors. There should be one repository, perhaps developed by entrepreneurs in the private sector, where everyday users can flag illicit addresses from various blockchain systems. Of course, such a site should be built with protocols that review and vet submissions for credibility before publishing them. Such a resource would make it easier for investigators to find illegal activity and help everyday cryptocurrency users stay clear of problematic wallets. In fact, such a resource could be built as a blockchain-based platform where registered users who credibly report illicit activity are rewarded with a cryptocurrency token. This could be applied not only to flag terrorist transactions, but also to hinder coins associated with ransomware and cyber criminals from moving throughout the blockchain. I got a little idea for you here, Yaya. What about this? A decentralized blockchain-based platform that rewards people for these submissions, right? You have your vetting process that you vet the submission, but you do not have anything more than a receive address for the submission. So I give you a receive address for Doge. And I don't give you any KYC bullshit, no AML bullshit, because all you really give a fuck about is the thing I'm reporting, and that it's legitimate. You want to, if you genuinely want to address quote unquote terrorist threats, then focus on the goal, negating the terrorist activity, which is addressing the terrorists specifically, not the people reporting them, the terrorists specifically. If you want to impact them specifically, what you do is you offer this service where you've got this big place where I can send submissions in and I can give you a receive address, and that's all I need to give you. You do not monitor jack shit after that. You just send me the fucking money after it turns out that it's a legitimate, incredible threat, right? You find it to be useful to you or whatever, and it's useful in the interdiction of terrorist activity or terrorist finance, right? And you reward me. You give me some sort of kickback for it. But you do not collect any AML KYC bullshit from me, because all you really need is to reward me in how should I say this, proportion to the value of the information to your investigation. If you get something from me, I give you a good address for fucking some terrorist activity that's going on in Syria, and they're trying to find some funding for it, and here's a wallet address. If I find that and I send that to you on this platform this fictitious platform that we're describing here, and I give you a Bitcoin wallet address, and you check it out, and you find out, oh my gosh, this is a credible threat. These people are receiving funding. It appears that they've done transactions with known arms dealers and so on and so forth, and these are addresses that are associated with them. Oh my gosh, this is a big find. Here's some fucking money. Here's some Bitcoin. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Find some more. Again, put the target, put the focus on the target. Don't put it on the gun, put it on the target. That's what you're trying to do here, right? Anyway, continuing on. Conclusion. Cold hard cash is still king, but jihadist groups are building diverse portfolios. Illicit actors adopt new technologies earlier than the broader public. When paper checks, credit cards, and PayPal each emerged, criminals exploited them early on. There are enough cases of jihadist groups experimenting with cryptocurrencies to suggest that law enforcement and the intelligence community must prepare for terrorists to try to exploit digital tokens as the technology spreads. On behalf of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies and its Center on Sanctions and Illicit Finance, thank you for the opportunity to testify. I look forward to your questions. Thank you very much, Yaya. That was very well written. I've got to say, very, very well written. Good presentation. But again, that focus point, I think it's very, very important. It's like, stay focused on the prize. You want participation? That's fine. You want to negate some legitimate terrorist fucking activity? Fine. We could probably help you there. But if it becomes a thing where you're trying to monitor all of our transactions to make sure that you get some nick of fucking tax in every single transaction that we do, then no, I have absolutely no fucking interest in helping you whatsoever. If you don't want to reward me for my participation without any concern for who I am, where I am, what I do for a living, any of that shit, if you're not willing to do that, then it tells me that it's not really your goal. That making me safer through monitoring financing in the crypto space the goal isn't actually making me any safer. It's just monitoring shit better. And again, to that end, I have absolutely no interest of servicing that. Although I will say this, that over the last couple months, I have been seeing a shift away from the conversation of trying to inhibit this space or trying to tax it or trying to regulate it better. I mean, because it's becoming obvious that the shit that does happen here gets resolved faster than any other fucking market on planet Earth. And I don't care about how bad the wreck is. I mean, let's just take, for example, the really big Bitfinance hack or Bitfinex, the big Bitfinex hack where they made the BFX token and they replenished everybody's funds. I actually made money on that shit. Can you believe that? Before Bitfinex closed their doors, I managed to make money on the BFX token. I held it until I checked it one day. I hadn't logged into the fucking thing in like 2 months. I logged into it and the BFX coin was suddenly worth some money. So I'm like, okay, so I sold it. And then they just added Ethereum Classic, so I bought that. And again, I logged off and I didn't bother with it again. And then I just put it in like a buy order. I put it in a buy order for a ridiculously low price and just fucking left it, right? So it comes up that Bitfinex has to close all their US accounts because the SEC's being assholes or whatever, or the CFTC or whoever it was. Their regulatory burdens were too heavy, whatever. I don't know. I don't care. Couldn't trade on Bitfinex anymore, so I had to evacuate my funds. So I log on, and I'm expecting that I've got just a little bit of Bitcoin on there, right, from that sell, and that my buy order of Ethereum Classic had never gone off. Well, I was wrong. Not only had it gone off, but I had a substantial amount of Ethereum Classic on there all of a sudden. So, I mean, in the end, I got everything back. I was made whole by the BFX token, and then I made profit, and I actually walked away from Bitfinex with a profit, something I thought I would never, ever, ever, ever do. I mean, because it seemed like one of the reasons why I didn't trade on it very much is it seemed like no matter what fucking trade I made, I lost money on it. It didn't matter what trade it was. I fucking lost money, whether it was transaction fees or whatever. I lost money. I wasn't moving enough volume. It wasn't a small enough coin, whatever. So, it's just like I did what I've been doing with cryptocurrency for quite a while, where if the market just gets too frustrating for me, I take a look at the longest chart I can and say, what do I think it's going to do in a couple weeks? I think it's going to go here. And I put in a buy order or I put in a sell order. I log off and I don't fucking touch the thing for 2 weeks. And then I come back to it and find out what happened. But that's only if things get like really, really, really frustrating. And that Doge thing, it spun me, but I can recover from my FOMO-ness, I haven't looked back at that spike yet, but I'm sure it's either still going up or it's finally started to go down. I don't know. I don't care. I'm not involved. But yeah, to this survey of terrorist groups thing, one thing I was thinking about is this, that these people that you've identified as quote-unquote terrorist organizations, I think if you kind of left things alone, I mean, unless it's like an obvious, like egregious example, you can definitely guarantee this is funding for direct action. You can see movement of materials and logistics shit going on. Okay, throw in a tactical team or two and deal with that shit. But what I was thinking about while I was reading this is that most of the people that get recruited into quote unquote terrorism get recruited there because that's like an option for them. It's not usually, I think anyway, I don't think it's just idealists. I think they represent a really, really tiny minority of the people that are fighting in these groups. I think you probably have a higher concentration of people that are veterans from previous wars, that's what they know how to do for a fucking job. So every time one flares up, they jump right into it because that's what they know how to do. It's just fucking shoot at people and shit. But the majority of these people that end up in these groups are people that didn't have any other fucking option. They could have ran, maybe. They could, go to Europe. But, maybe they had the facilities of electricity and internet, but due to, some sort of sanctions or some other bullshit, they have limited access to finance and limited access to financial markets. All of a sudden, cryptocurrencies come along, and these people have a speculative tool that they can get into very easily, and before you know it, they are richer than everybody else around them. And all of the money that they are making, rather than buying guns and grenades and bullets and shit, could be buying building materials, water purification infrastructure, electrical infrastructure, internet capability infrastructure. And it neutralizes a lot of the desire, a lot of the drive behind, oh, I want to join a fucking terrorist group and strap a bomb to my ass and blow myself up for people. Yeah, that just sounds like a wonderful fucking career choice. You know, if I'm 2xing on Bitcoin trades every month or so, I'm not going to be worried about what fucking bomb vest suits me better. I'm going to be worried about how am I going to get to where I can buy a nice suit and live in a nice place, because this place sucks and I can afford way better place to live now that I'm in cryptocurrency, and I want to get the fuck out of Dodge. There you go. You eliminated a fucking terrorist. You turned him into a potential financier of legitimate business that could be benefiting himself and his community. So, you know, watch out, man. One person's terrorist and another person's freedom fighter and or financial liberator. Let's go ahead and throw back down into some music for a little bit. And I'm feeling the need for a Psycho Holiday. So here it is, Pantera, Psycho Holiday, here on Coin Metal. I was going to let it roll into three-handed mind pollution there, but unfortunately, we're coming up to the end of it. But we will be back again on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And while you're watching your crypto, you gotta keep an eyeball on it. You know, there's plenty of interesting things going on out there. And I was trying to find this one little article and try and close out with it, but I don't know that we're actually going to have even time for it, unfortunately. But nonetheless, I'm sure that we will have plenty of material to come back on Wednesday with. But I was trying to find this. Oh, here we go. This was the other side of that thing that we started with, and it's short enough. I think we can get through it in the time that we have available here. So let's do it. It's on BitcoinMagazine.com, and this is by Amy Castor. So no penis. September 10th, 2018, 6:52 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Gemini and Paxos both launch stablecoins on Ethereum blockchain. Two crypto companies, Gemini Trust and Paxos, both got a green light from the New York State regulator to launch their own stablecoins pegged 1-to-1 with the US dollar. The New York Department of Financial Services, NYDFS, gave an okay to Gemini Trust, the crypto exchange founded by the Winklevoss twins, to launch Gemini Dollar, GUSD. It also gave a nod to Paxos Trust, the company behind the over-the-counter exchange Itbit, to issue Paxos Standard, PAX. Both coins launched on September 10th, 2018. Since Tether, USDT, the most recognized of, quote, stablecoins, launched in 2014, many other stablecoins have followed, all pegged to the value of some underlying asset, like another currency. In general, stablecoins provide a digital alternative to cash to serve as a hedge against volatility. Some critics claim, however, that stablecoins are being used for money laundering and, in the case of Tether, to manipulate the price of Bitcoin. This is why the NYDFS says it has gotten stringent assurances from Gemini and Paxos. According to the NYDFS's press release, Gemini and Paxos tokens are subject to the Bank Secrecy Act, Anti-Money Laundering, and Office of Foreign Assets controls, quote, to prevent the Gemini dollar or Paxos standard tokens from being used in connection with money laundering or terrorist financing. Quote, these approvals demonstrate that companies can create change and strong standards of compliance within a strong state regulatory framework that safeguards regulated entities and protects consumers, NYDFS Superintendent Maria, my apologies, Maria, Vullo said in a statement. Unlike Tether, which runs on the Omni layer on top of the Bitcoin blockchain, both Gemini Dollar and Paxos Standard are ERC20 tokens that run on the Ethereum blockchain. According to Gemini's blog post, traders who have a Gemini account can convert US dollars 1-to-1 into Gemini dollars to withdraw them to a specified Ethereum address. Conversely, if they move Gemini dollars back into their Gemini account, they can convert them back into fiat. Well, that's about all you really needed to do. Let's see. As the Gemini dollar, I'm just kind of skipping ahead here. As the Gemini dollar is an ERC20 token on the open source Ethereum network, it can be sent to any Ethereum address. We look forward to its adoption by third parties, including other exchanges and wallet providers. In Paxos' case, customers can purchase and redeem tokens directly through Paxos.com. Accordingly, the company's press release, investors using the ItBit exchange or OTC desk will be able to redeem their crypto holdings for Paxos Standard instantaneously. ItBit will also trade Paxos Standard tokens OTC. Yeah, it's very, very interesting, but I think that stablecoins are a silliness, and I expect both entities to become wrecked. Yeah, this will basically be a way for the value to be sucked out of these exchanges. And because they're based on the ERC20 token standard, probably doubly so is the likelihood that these will be evacuated. Hopefully, Gemini has full 100% backing and isn't going to be doing a fractional reserve of any kind, because otherwise they're going to get caught out in the cold and fucked hard on that one. But that's just my opinion. Time will tell. Anyway, let's go ahead and close it out. And yeah, this is to all of those who think that we need quote-unquote stable coins in the 21st century. This is the last dance for the evening. Fear Factory. Obsolete. And thank you very, very much for listening. I certainly do appreciate the support. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, over in the Telegram channel for Verge Currency, and also the Discord channel for the same. And we will be back again on Wednesday. So until then, I want y'all to trade safe. Do your homework. Watch out for your own bunghole, because nobody else is going to do it for you. Thank you very much again for listening, and y'all have an excellent evening.